Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business of Business podcast. I'm your host, Roy. Of course, we are the podcast that brings you a wide range of guests over a whole diverse set of topics. And today we're trying something a little different. We're lucky to have Bobby Machado back with us. That he is with Signa Marketing, and what we're going to try is a smaller series, about a 10 to 15 minute podcast that we release in conjunction or off, in a different day of the week from our normal full length podcast. But what we're going to do is talk about a subject and bring you, actionable items that you can actually do over the next week. Hopefully a series of about 3 to 5 per month. That way, we'll talk about some different subjects a little bit more in depth than what we usually do. So first off, Bobby, thank you for being with us, and this is going to be interesting, and I appreciate you agreeing to give this a try for us.
Oh, absolutely, Roy. No, I really appreciate the opportunity and happy to do what I can to provide value to your audience.
Yeah, this is I think I get some feedback that the longer shows are great, but then it's like so much information. It's like, really, where do I start with this? So we're going to try breaking this down. We'll do this for a few months and, kind of see what the reaction is, see how it goes. But and hopefully we will think of some really catchy, fancy name for this as we go through this. But for now, we're just going to get some good information out there. I think our first topic that we're going to talk about is Google Ads. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, Google Ads. I felt, Google Ads is one of those topics where a lot of people, whether you're a small business owner or a solopreneur, you've heard about it. You've probably even received a promo ad credit in your email inbox.
Right.
Suggesting to spend $150 and get $150 free in advertising and so forth. And so really easily one can find themselves into the Google Ads rabbit hole, as you will, trying to select the campaign and figure out how to do this thing. So, and Google, they have a ton of documentation up front. They're doing their best to kind of guide people, but the fact of the matter is that it's a platform that there's a lot of bells and whistles to it.
Right.
And there's a lot you can do with it, just like how you can with Facebook and all these other platforms too. There's just a lot there to unpack. So I felt that with Google Ads, what we can start with is first how to define your goals and your target audience.
Perfect. Yeah, because it's something that it's a necessary evil. Google, God love them, they have good products, but it's very, for somebody simplistic like me, it's very over engineered. So it can be daunting just thinking about taking that first step. So I think this is a great jumping off point for this series too. It can help some people that have wanted to take advantage of Google Ads and, give them some actionable items to actually get started. So that's great. Well, let's jump into the goals and targets.
Perfect. So we'll start with paid search advertising. Then we'll move into display advertising and then video advertising after that.
Okay.
So, and paid search, just because that tends to be sometimes one of the most common default ones. People say, hey, you know what? I want to show up at the top of Google for these types of keywords because I can get in front of people that are actively searching for my service or my product. So the way to go about that is first, when you're doing keyword research, you want to start doing keyword research. Google has a tool called the Google Keyword Planner. So you'll find this when you sign up for a Google Ads account and you log in, you'll see there's a tools button at the very top. You can click on that and it'll expand. You'll find a tool that's called the Google Keyword Planner. Okay. So basically this tool allows you to do two things. You can look at historical data of past keywords that have been ran on the platform and see what their cost per click is and kind of how much traffic they're getting and stuff like that. And you can also forecast. So with forecasting, you can plug in your desired keywords that you would like to show up for and place almost an imaginary bid, as you will, and you'll get basically a forecast of how much traffic you would receive from that keyword or set of keywords. Right. So this process is actually really important to do because what it allows you to do is actually see, is there actually search volume behind the keywords that I would like to show up for?
Right.
Because the last thing you want to do is spend time building campaigns and all that good stuff around keywords where no one's searching for those keywords. So
exactly.
one thing that the tool is known for is being very conservative with its forecast. So meaning sometimes you'll see a keyword that says that even it only has 10 searches per month. And you might even argue and say like, what, that doesn't make any sense. Most likely there is more search volume. It's just that this tool tends to be pretty conservative with how it forecasts. Yeah.
So another question I was going to ask you about that is that what about time in the time in that keyword, as well as that if all things else being equal, if you've had your information, your search lined up for that keyword, and today, if you've been doing it for a year, and so today I jump in, are we going to have an equal chance at that? Or because you've been there doing it for a while, is it going to skew more to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is going to be different at first. So people that create a brand new account, you do kind of go through a period of the network trying to make sure that you are going to be an ethical and good advertiser.
Okay.
And so they kind of do hold back the reins a little bit. And, you can build a campaign, you'll launch that campaign, and you'll acquire impressions and traffic, but there is a maturity period that the account goes through.
Okay, great.
And so yeah, you'll definitely see if you have a different account of someone that's been running advertising towards some keywords for a year, the behavior of those keywords is definitely going to be different compared to a new advertising.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, but in terms of, say for example, I'm a business owner that has a specific service. What I need to do first is conduct keyword research. Okay. And so I do want to use Google Keyword Planner, but even if it's prior to that and I'm thinking like, oh, I'm not sure exactly what they're searching, that's where I just go to Google search and just conduct some exploratory keyword research, because what I'd like to see is like, are my competitors buying these keywords?
Right, exactly.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of at least gives you some type of benchmark to kind of have some type of a direction at first.
Okay, great.
So from there, once you use the keyword planner, you'll actually want to look at all that data and then download it, because then you'll download it and you'll actually have a total in terms of how much spend you would actually be spending to acquire those keywords. Okay. Now sometimes this can total to $10,000 to $20,000 a month. So what you ask yourself then at that point is how much piece of the pie do I actually need to produce results for my business? Because you don't need to dominate and have full coverage. You just want to make sure that you're kind of doing the math to know, okay, how much traffic do I actually need? Right. So what we typically do is reverse engineer. You want to start even from your sales process, to be honest. So this will be different for different companies, but start from what your sales process is in terms of what your close rate, how many appointments you need, et cetera. Once you get to the appointments number, then you'll reverse engineer if you have roughly a 2 to 3% conversion rate off a landing page. Okay.
Yeah, and that's a good point to make too, because you want to make sure that your infrastructure is set up to handle the new traffic that you may generate. You don't want to be overwhelmed and then make prospects mad because you can't get to them fast enough, or different things that come up. Yeah. It's another, I talked about this on the show not long ago, but there's two threats to business. One is not having any customers, and then the other one is to be, to get overwhelmed to where you can't handle them. We want to be kind of somewhere in the middle, and that way we don't make people mad that we can't get to them, because unfortunately the numbers are, if I'm a happy customer, I tell one person. If I'm dissatisfied, I'll tell 8 people. So, word can spread really quick. So anyway, not to interrupt you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're totally right though. Absolutely. And that is something to think about. Absolutely. Sometimes it's glossed over, to be honest, because someone gets excited like, oh, I can get all this business off Google. Right. And they're not thinking about the back end of the business. Well, the front end of in this aspect, but they're not thinking, okay, can we actually handle that? Right. And how is that going to affect fulfillment too?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So once you look at, okay, you get that number of how many leads you actually need, just reverse engineering from appointment setting to a typical conversion rate of 2 to 3% on a landing page. Then you have an actual lead number that you, like a target in that sense. So when you have that lead target, then that's where you are able to, well, actually, that's where you look at the conversion rate, my bad, of 2 to 3%, because that's where you backtrack to see how much traffic you actually need. And that's what you're trying to get to, is you're trying to get to how much traffic do I actually need to land on this landing page to have that type of conversion rate to get the lead count that I want.
Right.
So that's the number that then you want to get basically match into your from your keyword research, because in your keyword research, that's where you have all your actual traffic numbers and actual search volume numbers.
Okay.
So that's how you're able to forecast of how much budget you actually need to be able to actually get the amount of leads that you're targeting for.
Okay, great. All right. So is that pretty much going to be what you want to cover for this episode?
So that's on paid search. We could just dive into display real fast and video. That's a little bit. That's a little bit more easier.
Okay. No, cool. You're fine.
So, perfect. So with display advertising, there's a million ways that you can start with display advertising. So just as a quick tip for small business owners, when you first set up Google Ads, make sure to set up your remarketing list and your remarketing tag from the very start. What this is going to allow you to do is that basically when you're running any type of campaign, anyone that reaches your landing page or your website will actually get cookied, and you can remarket to them over any type of duration between 30 to even up to 180 days.
Wow. Okay.
So this type of campaign is really nice because it's really efficient. You're basically putting what I call like a targeted online billboard in front of someone that has already seen your brand before,
right.
But that's how you can build that familiarity.
Okay.
So that's one way to target for display. Now, if you want to run an online targeted billboard but in front of new people, there's several ways you can do this. Some of the main ones is just going to be by buying contextual keywords. So basically targeting blogs or news sites that are talking about a specific subject matter. Or one of my favorite, which is custom audiences. So basically, if, say, for example, Roy, if you were interested in a specific service and you've been doing some research and conducting research on Google search, me as an advertiser, I can actually show a display ad while you're navigating through other blog posts, but about that subject matter. So you'll even find yourself saying, "Oh, wow, I just saw this ad and I was just Googling about this stuff."
Right.
So that's a way to target as well. Those two capabilities are identical almost on YouTube for video advertising. So the reason why I recommend definitely from a brand awareness standpoint, definitely leveraging YouTube for video ads, but then also display advertising is because you get a lot of bang for your buck. Right. I mean, if you were to do this type of strategy and buy real billboards off, out here in Phoenix, it's the I-10 and stuff like that, it just costs you an arm and a leg.
Right.
But these platforms do allow small business owners and solopreneurs the opportunity to build brand awareness and really get out there in a way that's still very efficient with their budget.
Right. Yeah, and I think the other part of that, always to keep in mind is that, while we're trying to attract people that may be buying right this moment, we also have to have that long-term strategy of being out in front of somebody that may not need our service today, but, in a month from now, they may be looking, or maybe they're just real slow decision makers and they need that constant reinforcement. But, it's a great way to stay out in front of potential buyers for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's something I've been preaching, especially from what happened in 2020, because a lot of businesses that only focused on lead generation and completely neglected brand awareness ended to hurt because when leads dried up, no one knew about them. Yeah. No one knew that they existed. Yeah. And so, I preach always, don't be vulnerable, be diverse. I treat buying media almost like a stock portfolio. You want to make sure you're just diverse in that sense, because you're going to get different returns from different channels.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Bobby. Well, thanks a lot. Again, this is Bobby with Signa Marketing. Reach out if you need some help with your Google setup. He'd be glad to, help you with that. And we will be back next week with part 2 of this. And looking forward to seeing, giving everybody this actionable item. So, Bobby, thanks again. You can find us, of course, at www.thebusinessofbusinesspodcast. We're on all the social media channels. Bobby, why don't you tell them how they can reach out to you if they need some help doing this?
Of course. No, thank you so much, Roy, for the opportunity again, too. Definitely, you can find us at signamarketing.com. That's SIGN as in Nancy, then marketing.com. And on all our social media channels, our username is consistent everywhere, so it's just Signa Marketing.
Okay.
Instagram and Facebook and YouTube are our channels that we're very active with producing content. So if you do have a question, feel free to reach out through any of those channels, and we're more than happy to help.
All right. Awesome. Bobby, we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Roy.